A very pleasant good morning to everyone who joined with us today. In today's session, we bring to you this much awaited workshop on how to build a scalable decentralized application on Shardeum by Shardeum's own developer relations engineer, Mr. Sandipan Kundu. I am sure many of you would be excited to get your queries answered regarding various topics throughout the session, so I request you all to kindly type in any questions that you have in the chat box. So, without any further ado, I now call upon Mr. Sandipan Kundu to kick off this highly anticipated workshop. Sandeep, the virtual stage is all yours.
Hey, hi everyone. Thank you, Vanika, for the introduction. Um, I was looking forward to this workshop. Today, we are going to briefly discuss a little bit about Shardium, a little bit about Web3, about blockchains. This is a very exciting field, and I know like many of you are already excited to build dApps on top of Shardium. So let's just get it started. Let me just share my screen. I will just share my entire screen for simplicity. So yeah, let's get this started. I hope my screen is visible. Um, Let me know if it's not. Yeah, I'm just going to assume it's visible. So let's get this started. So yeah, today we are going to talk about like building scalable decentralized applications on top of Shardium. My name is Sandipan Kundu. I'm a development engineer here at Shardium. Um yeah, so let's get started with the problem statement. So what are the problem statements of existing blockchains? One of the biggest problem is that existing blockchains don't scale based upon the network traffic. Like you will see like at the initial stages when the transaction volumes are low and there are less number of applications built on top of them, the UX is very good, like the transactions go through fast, the transactions are cheaper. But as the demand increases, like the UX starts to fall off and starts to worsen like linearly across how much the demand increases. So like initially you will enjoy low gas fees, like you will enjoy faster transaction finality, but more the number of transactions happen, the lesser like the more you will find that the blockchain unable to perform, and the transactions not going through, gas prices shooting up. So that is the major problem which existing blockchains currently have, and that is the major problem which we here at Shardium are looking to solve. So a little bit about Shardium. Shardium is an EVM based layer one that scales linearly with dynamic state sharding. um, I know there must be a lot of words here that many of you might have heard for the first time, but yeah, we are going to cover each of those words, what they mean, and why it actually matters, even like even that. So, an EVM based layer one. So there are multiple layers of blockchain in which there's a layer one, there are layer two blockchains which are connected to the layer one. So Shardium is a layer one blockchain, and it's EVM based. EVM is Ethereum Virtual Machine, which means that like any smart contracts, which can be like smart contracts written in Solidity and Viper, can be run on top of Shardium. So just like the most popular EVM based blockchain is Ethereum itself, and like any dApp which runs on Ethereum can run on Shardium without any code changes on the smart contract side. So that's the beauty of it, that you don't even need to learn a new set of skills. If you're already an Ethereum developer, you're already a Shardium developer. And we are going to come back on the topic of linear scalability and dynamic state sharding. But to give you a brief context, dynamic state sharding is the concept of dividing the blockchain into multiple smaller blockchain, each with the capability of handling its own set of transactions simultaneously. So instead of just one blockchain, in general sense, in a blockchain, for every new transaction, all the nodes participating in the blockchain needs to validate that yes, that transaction is correct and it can be added to the blockchain network. But in case of in case of Shardium, because we are sharding the blockchain and dividing that blockchain into multiple parts, so we are not bottlenecked by any one set of nodes. And like at any point of time, you can have multiple shards work together or computing multiple transactions. That's the way, like, we are here to solve the scalability trilemma on the blockchain side. And that's why, like, instead of just validating all transaction, each shard will be responsible just to validate the transaction on its own set. Then this TPS per node. Dynamic state sharding enables Shardium to increase its TPS capacity with each validator. Again, like, since we are not making each validator compute each one of the transactions, the transaction per second of, like, in case of Shardium, can scale linearly. Like, you can see a graph here. So if you have 10,000 nodes, like, you will have 10,000 TPS. This is something like that is very unique and you won't find in any other, like, in most other blockchain in general. So that's a very unique part. And anyone, like, the idea is that anyone from the community can just run a node and join to the network, and it's an entirely open, decentralized manner. And coming to the decentralized point, Shardium uses proof of stake and proof of quorum for consensus. I think proof of stake, if some of you have idea that, like, about other blockchains, like, I think Ethereum also recently shifted from proof of work to proof of stake. And then Polygon is another example of proof of stake blockchain. In proof of stake blockchain, you are required to stake a certain amount to join the network, so that there is always set of validation that the transactions your node is processing is always the correct transaction. And if by chance any node tries to maliciously submit false transactions, their stake will be slashed, and they will be, like, at a certain point of time, after a certain point of time, they will be kicked out of the network to maintain the decentralized consensus of the network. And in case of proof of quorum consensus, it's just basically in which the network, all the validators come together and submit a proof that more than half of the validator at a particular time agrees that a transaction is valid. And if more than half of the validators agree that yes, it is indeed a correct transaction, then they will add that to the network. And this makes Shardium very light consensus and low hardware requirements, because instead of, like, getting the entire history of the network, you're just you are just dealing with whatever it comes to as you go forward. So that's the, like, one of the biggest I think advantages about Shardium in that case of decentralization. Now let's deep dive into what is dynamic state sharding. This is something I will definitely encourage you guys to do some more reading also after the workshop. This is a very beautiful concept, and sharding has been a computer like concept, has been for a long time. But in the blockchain space, there have been attempts of doing sharding, but in case of Shardium, I think the dynamic state sharding which we are using, it is much more user friendly on the application layer, because that's what we are going to learn in the next 5 minutes. So in case, as I said, in general blockchain, you are required that for every transaction, every node needs to validate that every node participating in the network needs to validate that a transaction is correct or not. In this case, we are since we are sharding the network into multiple shards. So let's just get to the next point. Yeah, in which you can see for each wallet addresses, these are all the list of wallet addresses, and these are the list of balances. So SHM is the like network token which you use to submit transaction on the Shardium blockchain. And you will see that for each addresses there's a balance correlated. So for each addresses, this is the balance, this is the balance. Now in case of dynamic state sharding, since they're like each of these layers represent a shard of its own, and all of these layers combined makes a Shardium blockchain. So this is shard number 1, this is shard number 2, 3, 4, and consecutively. And that you will see that in shard number 1, it's corresponding to this and this address, right? So for each shard, each address is being covered multiple times by different shards. Hence, like so that you have an overlap, so that you don't so that the addresses in one shard do not just need to rely on one of the just only one shard. They can rely on multiple other shards, and that is the, like, I would say, the beauty of Shardium, I think, in which, so that even if your smart contract lives in this shard, it can interact with the smart contract in this shard. And this is where the concept of atomic composability comes. I know I'm throwing a lot of words, but like, just if you can, like, all these words I'm mentioning, if you can just after the workshop, like, Google them and just read a bit into them, like, it's not that complex of a topic, in general. But yeah, since to explain the basic architecture of Shardium, these, like, I have to use these complex kind of words. But yeah, like, it's not that complex as it sounds, to be honest. But if you just do a Google search, you will be able to understand those. And just like that, in the shard one, we saw multiple other shards are connected with multiple other addresses, so that at any different point of time, you are just not dependent on one set of shards. And that's when we come to the next feature of Shardium, which we call auto scaling. So in general, I briefly discussed about the scalability problem in Shardium, that, like, in general, which Shardium solves, and that, like, in case of popular demand of the blockchain, the transactions we do right now, for example, the Visa network or the um, American Express network, they are processing hundreds of thousands of transactions per second. The blockchains right now, most of the blockchains right now are processing tens of transactions. So, like, the scale is, like, uh, far apart from each other. And to reach a level in which we use blockchain in a day-to-day life, that's why we need scalability solutions like Shardium, so that we can reach that level and match that level, so that even people like you and me can use in our day-to-day lives a particular blockchain. In this scale, in this case, the auto scaling, by auto scaling, we refer that, as I said, with every additional node, since the graph is linear, so with every additional node, like, the TPS increases. So if there are 750 nodes running in the network, the maximum capacity of the Shardium network will be 750 TPS. And if there are 1,000 nodes, it will be 1,000 TPS. And based upon that how many, what's the demand in the network. So for example, a popular NFT minting is happening, and people are very excited, and everyone is just trying to mint that NFT. Suddenly you will see the network congestion getting very high, from, for example, 40 transactions per second. Now you need 2,000 transactions per second. And how is that scale going to happen? That is where most of the blockchain will get bottlenecked and will stop producing, like, giving you an error, rejecting your transaction, or will just shoot up their gas prices. That, from, like, for example, right now you need $1 to submit a network transaction, then suddenly you may need more than $250 to submit a network transaction. And at that point, it becomes, like, almost like worthless. Like, why would you even spend $250 just to submit a transaction to the network? That's where I think Shardium comes in, and can solve that problem. So in Shardum, every 60 seconds, uh, all the validators check the network demand. What's the network demand right now? Based upon that, what those validators are seeing, they will add or remove the nodes accordingly. So if more nodes are needed because everyone is submitting more transactions, then other nodes will be rotated into the mempool, and they will also start doing the consensus and start processing the transactions. But if, and suddenly, if the demand drops, and then the demand drops, then everyone will come into consensus after 60 seconds again, and they will remove some of the nodes, and only keep the nodes which are relevant to the demand right now. So that's the auto scaling feature of Shardium. And yeah, I think we briefly discussed about the atomic composability, and we are going to go through a set of flow in which transactions happen on top of Shardium. So this is a wallet. So to submit a transaction on the blockchain, you need a wallet, a MetaMask wallet, for example. Then the MetaMask wallet connects to the UI. Then the UI connects to the access list of the like EIP 2930. Like this is something you can read. I will share my screen on the documentation side of Shardium also, about EIP 2930, in which you can read about the access list on how all the transactions which I mentioned, that even though they are living in other shards, you can still those smart contracts and transaction can still communicate with each other. That is because of the access list feature. And then this is the Shardium RPC node, the Shardium RPC, and then it comes submits a transaction to the Shardium blockchain, and each of the shards combine together and form the overall blockchain. So and as I previously discussed, if a smart contract is living in this shard, it can still communicate with the smart contracts of this or this or this or any other shard in the network, because of the concept of atomic composability. And like to give this is very cool because this is something which other sharded blockchains have struggled to solve, but that is what we are here at Shardium are solving, the atomic composability part. The reasons why developers are gravitating towards Shardium and why you should consider too, as I shared, the auto scaling features, so your dApps will never get congested. You can always rely on the network. It's EVM based. EVM has the largest ecosystem in Web3 developers, and you can deploy your code with minimal changes in the code. And like on the smart contract side, you don't even need to make any changes. It has atomic composability, so each shard can communicate with other shards. The users, like Shardium testnet is one of the highest used testnet ever in any particular blockchain. So like if you are building a dApp on top of Shardium, you are already in front of thousands of users. And like Shardium is a native to India blockchain. Our co-founder Nishal Shetty is one of the biggest, is the founder of WazirX. Also, if you have heard about, if you're in the Web3 ecosystem, if you've heard about that, yeah, like we have the biggest community here at India, and we are excited to provide the opportunity to of dApp developers to build on top of Shardium and build international, like global dApps, like natively from India. I think that is where the blockchain concept that anyone can build without any restrictions, no matter what your age is, no matter what your qualification is, like it's an open infrastructure. You can just join and start building. That's the best part of blockchain. Yeah, and as I said, like we are native to India, and we have been doing multiple Shardim community events all across India. So like if you guys are interested to learn more about Shardium, if you're interested to join the Shardium community, like you can join one of the meetups. We do multiple workshops. So yeah, like community is one of the best part, in which like in Web3 everyone is ready to help everyone else, so that like we as an industry grow together. That's the beauty of Web3. So yeah, you can just find out your nearest city Shardium event and like go join there, contribute, learn about more about Shardium. And now we are going to talk a little bit about the documentation on top of Shardium, and that's when I'm going to change my screen. So yeah, the link is, I hope it's still visible, right? Yeah. The link is docs.shardium.org. Our documentation is still at its early stage, but you will find everything you need to deploy on top of Shardium. Yeah, so let's go with the first steps. So for the first step, first of all, you need to have a, is my MetaMask wallet also being shown? I don't think so, right? Oh, it is. Nice. So yeah, you need to install the MetaMask wallet if you don't have one, and yeah, it is very simple. It's an extension in Brave or Chrome. You can just download, and you need a wallet for that. And after that, you need to claim 100 SHM tokens. So Shardium is still at its states testnet. As you know, like to submit a transaction into the blockchain, you need real life, like real world money. You need to spend money to submit a transaction in the blockchain, so that like even the blockchain can incentivize people to run the nodes, because running nodes cost money, just like a AWS server in the Web2 world. Like this concept is same. So yeah, so in case of Shardium, like right now it's on the testnet, so you can just claim testnet tokens, like SHM testnet tokens, and you can start building dApps on top of Shardium. So the number, like, so for this hackathon, the criteria is to build Shardium dApps on Liberty 2.x network. So the difference between Liberty, the only difference between Liberty 1.x and 2.x is the 1.x is a non-sharded blockchain, and Liberty 2.x is a sharded blockchain. So this is the kind of blockchain which will actually go to mainnet. This was just as used as a staging testnet, but this is the Liberty 2.x is the one where you guys will be using to build on top of Shardium, and it's a sharded blockchain. So you can just visit the faucet. In this case, you need to click on this link in here, in the tweet now link, and it will just, you need to have a Twitter account, or if you don't, like you can join the Shardium Discord server also, and in that you will find the 2.2.x faucet, and you can claim from there too. But if you have a Twitter account, then this is the demo text, which after clicking on that link you will find, and instead of this demo address, you can just put your own address. This is my wallet address, and you can just tweet out and just share that tweet link. I'm not going to tweet because I already have SHM tokens, but yeah, so you can just and you can just tweet URL containing your address here, and solve the captcha and request SHM token, and you will see in a couple of seconds you will have SHM token in your network. Yeah. And you will find all of these on how you can add in the wallet section of the docs. So you can go to the MetaMask section and install. You need to add the Shardium network. You will find the detailed information here. It's very simple, so I'm not going to go through that. It goes step by step here. Remember that you need to use Liberty 2.x, not Liberty 1.x. So yeah, once you are there, you can create your wallet account, and yeah, then you can start claiming the SHM token from the method I showed you, and you should be having the SHM token arriving shortly in your wallet address. So right now I have 73 SHM token in my wallet address. Yeah, that's regarding claiming the testnet tokens. And let's get started. Let's just dive, like right now we were talking so much about what Shardium is, how Shardium works. Let's just deploy a smart contract on a blockchain. It's very exciting. If you're deploying it for the first time, you will find it very fascinating that once a transaction is submitted, it's in a decentralized manner and like throughout the world, and no one can take it down except you. Like that's the power you get by using a decentralized blockchain. So yeah, as I explained previously, before just diving deep into the remix part, Shardium is an EVM compatible language. So you use Solidity as a language um, to build smart contracts on top of Shardium. And Solidity is an object-oriented, like high-level language. The syntax is very similar if you're coming from a JavaScript background. So you shouldn't be having much trouble in that side. You can easily learn like docs. This is a Solidity language docs, and like you will find all the types, the units, the how to build contracts, what's the structure of building a contract, everything here. Like this is the one of the best OG resource I would say you can use to learn on how to build smart contracts. But before that, let me just share one another example. So from the docs you will find how the language works and what is different aspects of it. And from solidity by example.org you will find a list of like basic smart contracts which you can start going through them, and you can start running them. So these are the like primitive data types, how data types are used in solidity. So I know it's a new language. If you don't know about solidity, it's going to be a little bit like with any new language there's a learning curve, but it's easier if you're coming from a JavaScript kind of or a Java kind of a background. It's a curly braced language. Like it's easier to learn if you're already from those backgrounds. So it won't be that tough, and you can still learn it in a couple of hours and build out a basic smart contract. So yeah, let's get dive deep into the storage.sol. So smart contracts in Solidity have the like the name of the file with is the name dot sol, and this is a basic smart contract example in which like these are all the like these are exactly the lines you will find once you go through the Solidity documentation of what how to structure the smart contract. This is the license identifier. This is you're mentioning which Solidity version your smart contract needs to run on. And this is like if you are familiar with the class format of Java, this is what instead of class, this is a contract storage. So this is a very similar format if you already know about those languages. So we are declaring a number, we are creating a function, again similar syntax. Uint 256 is an unsigned integer 256, and we are using the variable num, and we are assigning number to num, and we are just repeating. So this is a very simple basic smart contract in which you are just assigning a number and reading a number, and that's what like we are going to start with and learn in case of Solidity. So let's just go and compile this. So this is an online IDE. The IDE is called remix.ethereum.org. You can use this online IDE for quick iteration of your smart contracts. And like, yeah, because you don't need to set up any other environments. Like we will briefly talk about other environments too, but this is an online IDE. See, now you can see that my smart contract is compiled. And now I will go to the deploy and run transaction tab. And here I will change it from the Remix virtual machine to injected provider MetaMask so that I can connect this app with my MetaMask account. And you will see like it's now connected to the 8081 network. Why 8081 network? Because let me see. The chain ID of Liberty2.x is 8081. So if you see that it's showing up here, it means that you're now connected to the Shardeum testnet through your MetaMask wallet. And so like, yeah, let's just deploy. So to deploy a smart contract, you're changing the network state of the blockchain. As you can see, you need to pay a gas fee. So this is again testnet token, so it's free. It doesn't cost money. Now you will see that the creation of storage is pending, and in a couple of seconds, the transaction should also go through. And yeah, so this is the transaction was successful. This is the transaction mined and executed successfully. This is the transaction hash, and let's just go to yeah. You will find that so every blockchain has a blockchain explorer, so you can see what you deployed, what you worked on. So let's go to the Liberty2.x explorer and paste the transaction hash, and it should show all the details. So yeah, as you can see, the transaction has been successful. This is a contract type of transaction. Timestamp few seconds ago. Transaction fee is right now constant. This is a nonce value. This is a cycle value. So in Shardeum, we instead of doing block level consensus, we do transaction level consensus. But yeah, like again, I won't go deep into those stuff. You can read all about that in the documentation in the quick start, and go to the introduction. What is Shardeum? What is Ethereum virtual machine? Transaction consensus, how that happens. Everything I talked about briefly here is maintained in detail over in the docs, so you can go through those and learn more about that. So yeah, that gives us a basic demo on deploying just a basic smart contract on top of Shardeum, and that's it. Like that's how easy it is. I know, like in the smart contract section, where is Remix? Yeah, we just in this example for this example, we did a very basic smart contract, but this is where your main project gets built on. So you need to add more functions, more like variables. You need to add the logic of what you want to achieve. Like at the end of the my presentation, I will give a brief ideas what you can build, But yeah, that's where like this is where at your actual code goes and the actual logic happens. And everything in case of a blockchain, the logic is equals to the rules. So no one can change that logic of your application except you. That is the most powerful thing about a blockchain. So yeah, that's a basic introduction. I will just briefly go through hard hat also. So you should definitely check out hard hat. It's a Ethereum development kind of it's a tool suite to build applications on your local machine. So Remix is an online IDE and it's very good just to learn the Solidity code. But I probably you will need a environment on your local machine to run and compile you and deploy to the network. So that's where things like hard hat come in. And this is where like you just don't need to build a smart contract, right? You need to connect that smart contract to your front end application. That's where like things like hard hat come in and can be very useful. And that's let's just dive deep into like a little bit into that one. So I already have set up, I hope this is also visible. Let me just check. Yeah, I think it is. So this is a VS Code, and once you go through the hard hat documentation of setting it up, like you will see on how you can install hard hat for the first time on your VS Code. It's a quick start guide also. And once you do these steps, you should have a basic project running with these folders: artifacts, cache, contracts, node module, scripts, test, and hard hat config. So for this example, we are only going to talk about the contracts folder, in which we have a basic token contract, an ERC20 token contract, and the hard hat config file. This is where you will keep all your network settings and build on top of that. So we have a basic token contract. This is an ERC20 token. You can learn more about it in the Open Zeppelin. This is not proxy patterns, but so Open Zeppelin is a library of smart contracts you can use to quickly iterate. So you don't need to build your smart contracts from scratch. So yeah, you will find the ERC20 token here, the entire example of what an ERC20 is. ERC20 is a token contract. ERC721 is the NFT contract. And there are other formats also of smart contracts. But yeah, these are the primary two smart contracts you can use. And where did I go? Yeah, let's get back to the remix. And so yeah, this is the basic token contract. You can go through each of the parts. And as I said, like we are only talking about these two and the hard hat config file. And this is where you will share all the details. Like you will add Liberty. The URL is the RPC URL, and then the accounts here you will create an env file. In that you can keep your private key. um, all of these are not going into very detail. You will find again in the Shardeum docs. I'm just mentioning so that you have an idea of flow of how you can go through one step at a time. uh, yeah, and then once all of this is set up, so what, like to give you a context of where you can find this. um, in the smart contract section, go to deploy, and there you will find the hard hat section and exactly the step by step of what you need to add to your hard hat project you will find over here. Okay, so that's the general step, and that's it. That's pretty much it on how you can set up and just run this command: npx hard hat run /network liberty. We're deploying this on the Liberty testnet of Shardeum. Script shall deploy. The deploy script is already will come out by default. And if we run this command, let's just wait for a couple of seconds. This is the account balance which we have. We have 72 in the account, remember, like 72 SHN tokens. So yeah, and it's just submitting the transaction on the Shardium blockchain. It will just take a couple of seconds to deploy. And that's basically it. Now we have got the token address. So it has deployed the transactions. Same thing what we did with Remix. We are doing it just from the local machine. So let's again go to the Explorer, um, put the transaction hash, and now you can see all the info of the contract. Like this is the address, contract address. This is the norms. This is the contract name, symbol, total supply, and this was contract was successfully created a few seconds ago. So that's basically it on how you can create a smart contract and deploy on top of Shardium, um, through Remix and through Hardhat. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I covered a lot of topics, but like all of those topics were a little bit important, but I still didn't went very deep into those. I will definitely again encourage you to go through the Hardhat documentation, go through the Shardium documentation, and you will find more details over there. And yeah, like you can build NFT marketplaces, DeFi applications. Just search to the internet. In Web3 every code is open source, so like you can derive and learn from others and build using those. That's the best part of it. So like it's not that hard to build dapps, basic dapps at least, which you can build in a short format hackathon like this. So like definitely check those out. Do join the Shardium Discord server. That's where all the developers hang out. So we have more than 163,000 members in the Shardium Discord server. You will find an amazing set of developers whom you can interact with and learn. And also the Shardium team will be available over there too. And for this hackathon, you will find I've already shared the docs in the website link in the Shardium channel. Go through those first, and if you have any queries, you can tag me on the Shardium channel also, and I'll be happy to answer. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it from our side. We have a $500 bounty. The first prize is 250. Um, then I think it's 150, the 100, and then $350 prizes. The prize details are also in the Shardium channel. You can check that out. So I'm looking forward to see what you guys build, and definitely let me know if you have any queries. That's pretty much it. Do we have any queries? Okay. What is the criteria for submitting a project in the? Yeah. So you need to deploy your smart contract. So the Shardium Liberty 2.x network. That's the major criteria. And to like, I would say to win one of the prizes, you need to build a full stack application. You need to connect your smart contract with the front end, have a demo ready, and just deploy your smart contract on the Shardium Liberty 2.x network. Put the smart contract address in your GitHub repo, README files, and I think that's just basically it for the Shardium sponsored track. The criteria is very generic, like you can build anything as long as it's a complete project, like you're good to go. We have kept it very generic. There is no particular problem statement. So yeah. Any other question? I think not. So yeah, I will be available in the Discord channel also. You can tag me there. You will already see a message from me over there with all the links. But yeah, feel free to tag me there, and happy to help you guys build decentralized applications on top of Shardium. Thank you. Vanika, I think you're on mute.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sandeep, for that enlightening session. And with that, we have come to the end of our workshop. As you may be aware, HackNITR has this awesome initiative of the leaderboard to encourage everyone, regardless of technical knowledge. The idea is simple: the more you learn, the more points you earn. Today's code for the session will be provided in the HackNITR website and Instagram handles. So, thank you, Sandeep, once again. It was an honor to have you at this workshop. I would like to graciously thank the organizing team of HackNITR along with the teams of OpenCode and GDSC for bringing to us this wonderful session. And finally, I would like to thank all of you present here today for being an amazing audience. We have more workshops aligned today for you guys, so stay tuned for further updates. Register at HackNITR 4.0 and follow us on our Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram handles. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.